Before smokeless gunpowder was invented, the guns always fired with a big cloud of smoke floating around the gunners, because of the black powder. So this was its unique point compared with nowadays. And this era, I would like to call it the black powder time. Okay, until now, we have seen many various muskets or rifles born in this iconic time from Asia to Europe and to America. But today, I'm going to talk about a special guy, the Revolvers, which were created in the black powder time. So it is a little bit different with our modern-made revolvers. In the early time, especially before the 1830s, when the real modern revolvers born, actually, firearms, which had a revolving mechanism, always existed. We know that the matchlock and the flintlock were used by the military and the civilian guns in the world for hundreds of years. And meanwhile, almost all guns were single-shot firearms. So, making a quicker firing rate was what many inventors and the generals always chased. Like, we can see the Asian continent first. In China, not only in the Ming Dynasty, but in the Qing Dynasty time, for more than 500 years, firearms history in China. Also, we can see there were some revolving matchlocks built out. The most famous might be Xun Lei Chong. It was a repeating, revolving style matchlock musket in the Ming Dynasty and was documented in the Ming military book Shen Qi Pu. But it was noticed that this musket didn't have the cylinder instead of the 5 barrels. Just like what I said in the last video, the convergent evolution might appear in firearm area as well, because in the 19th century, the paper box guns, which had the similar revolving design with Xun Lei Chong, were built out. However, they indeed could improve the firing rate of the firearms, but the correlative smaller tech about firearms didn't follow the development of the musket in that era, like the metallic cartridges, which might be one of the biggest factors of pushing the development of the real and mature repeating rifles invented. But the metallic cartridge could be created because it was based on, such as the percussion cap tech, and the paper cartridge tech reached a higher place. So, in other words, the tech such as the mature percussion cap and the newer model paper cartridge boosted the repeating guns developing and created the chance of the real and mature repeating gun tech born, like the development from dress needle gun in the 1840s to the famous label rifle created in 1886. The same situation also is in our time, when the multi-touch screen got more and more mature. The iPhone appeared in our world. Now, the VR type is gradually more mature and the Vision Pro comes into our view. So back to the time of Xun Lei Chong or paper box guns, we may know that why the single-shot muskets was still very important and had a very strong status, although the revolving, repeating firearms were invented until the bolt-action and the lever-action rifles and the metallic cartridges were created out. The repeating gun time arrived finally. Then, in the Qing Dynasty time, we still can see the revolving matchlock in China. So now we have to mention the famous Sotheby. By the way, sometimes I even would like to call it the Sotheby Museum, but the collections of this museum are tradable. In 2016, there was a rare 6-barreled matchlock revolving gun of the Qing Dynasty that might have been built around the 1650s to 1750s, appeared in Sotheby. Actually, this kind of Qing Dynasty revolving matchlock gun was similar to the Indian revolving matchlock. In similar years, in Japan, during the Edo period, some revolving matchlock was also built. In the early part of the 19th century, it says that some Japanese matchlock gunsmiths referred to the Samuel Cole's design and built this special model of a Japanese revolving matchlock gun. When our side view arrived in Europe, the situation was similar, but the difference might be the look. Compared with the matchlock that was very popular used in Asia, the flintlock was a popular choice in Europe, so it also reflected in the European revolving gun. Some of them were the revolving flintlock guns, with a cylinder just like the Indian revolving matchlock gun. And other revolving flintlock guns were with some multi-barrels, like the style of Xun Lei Chong. Or we can think it was a kind of pepper box gun, but with an early shape. We may talk about more details of these classical revolving old guns in the future videos. Now the time is going, and in 1835, the American Samuel Colt traveled to Britain and applied for his first revolver patent. Then he went back to the USA and patented his revolving gun in America in 1836. So the years of 1835 and 1836 were the birth years of the modern revolvers. Meanwhile, applying for patents and building the products are totally different things. So speaking of which, the plan of talking about those business stories behind the weapon companies may be also an interesting idea in the video. But today, let's mainly focus on firearm tech. During this time, all of the revolvers might be a kind of mass-loading revolvers. Strictly, they were kind of a single-loading percussion revolver, where the black powder and lead bow must be poured and plugged from the front side of every chamber into the cylinder, and finally made sure the percussion cap being set on the tail side of the cylinder and the sealing grease-like things on the front of every chamber's mouth. Because of this series of complex loading steps, I don't think the user could finish the second or multi-times reloading of this revolver on the battlefield, so might also be a kind of disposable gun. And in that time, many new firearm tech were invented, and meanwhile, the people also tested them ceaselessly. So we can see in the late part of the 19th century, many variants of firearms were invented. The revolver type also was one part of this wave. In 1855 to 1864, Colt Company produced a kind of carbine, the Colt New Model revolving rifles, which were used to a limited extent on the Pony Express and in American Civil War. However, the rifles were gradually disliked by soldiers and had serious design flaws. I guess it is identified as the selling problems of the revolvers. When the users opened fire, the flash and the gunpowder would burn out and forward from the gaps between the cylinder and the barrel, and it's a result that the gunner could not hold it like using a common carbine, one hand holding the front side and one hand holding the rear handle. So maybe this is why, until nowadays, the revolving carbine may be a very rare product in the firearms market. So when did get rid of the complex loading steps? I think this should be the time after the leprosy in 1854 Revolvers was invented. Like what I mentioned in the first chapter, that a new thing is invented is a much mature tech as the foundation of improvement. This M1854 revolver could be invented based on the improvement of the pinfire cartridge, and of course the mass-loading revolver got more and more mature as a new firearm mechanism in that time, and many other changes in the technology area. Finally, the first revolver to use self-contained metallic cartridges, known as the pinfire cartridge, rather than loose powder, pistol bow, and percussion caps, and will also got a kind of single-action pinfire revolver and could hold 6 rounds. In addition, we also can think that some guns used by the characters in the Western film, not only the Dollars trilogies, but also Django Unchained, or even the video game Red Dead Redemption. All of them were the sons of the leprosy M1854. In addition, smokeless gunpowder was invented in 1884, so the leprosy M1854 revolver should still be also a kind of a black powder gun. Okay, this is today's revolver story, and I hope you can like this video. Thank you for watching, have a good day, see you next time. Bye.